Welcome, everyone, to the first event of the Rocket series. This time we're going to have a 1K. This is Michael, and I'm joined by...
What's up, guys? I'm Rob. You've probably seen me before if you ever come into the store, but we'll be talking today about our 1K.
So, looking at the stuff in the center today, we have the Goblin Shaman token, which was what Chaz Tanner, the last one of the Rocket series, chose. And then we have this sweet pin that's a new addition. That pin will be given to the winner today, and there's going to be one for each of the winners for all of the events. I think that pin is pretty sick. What do you think, Rob?
So it is pretty cool. I think it's going out to all top 8 players. So I think if you top 8, I think you're getting one.
The pin? No. It's just
It's
the winner.
only for the winner?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He said there's 8
still is
of
pretty
them
cool.
for the whole series, so it's just one per...
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
What we're looking at right now is Jacob and Michelle writing their decks down. Michelle's going to be on Izzet Murktide, and Jacob's going to be on 5-color Creativity.
I want to say it's 5-color, yeah. It's definitely looking like 5-color as of right now. Both are going to be pretty sweet, definitely highly interactive decks. So it's going to be a fun time, especially for the first round.
Yeah, this matchup's going to be pretty sweet. Michelle is arguably one of the best Murktide players we've had in the shop and in SoCal, so it's going to be really interesting to watch her play a match that she has to interact a lot. And Jacob, from what I'm looking at his list, he has a pretty stock creativity list. So Michelle should be pretty prepared for that.
I want to say Michelle's been on Murktide since Murktide became Murktide.
Yeah,
She's been on that list for a long time.
she played a Mardu deck for probably about a month and a half into MH2. I distinctly remember that, and she was playing Hazret as a part of her main Mardu deck with Lingering Souls, but then she switched to Izzet Murktide, and I don't think she's played a different deck since then. So yeah, she's very comfortable on this deck. Jacob, I think is new to creativity, if I'm not wrong. I played him on Thursday. The deck is still strong. It's a good deck.
It seems pretty sweet. I'm looking at the list right now. It's got some pretty sweet text to it. I didn't even know that it ran persist, but that's pretty sweet having that additional way of getting out your big threat.
So persist is Archon's pivot to trying to be more consistent through the ring. It just gives another flexibility of when your stuff's countered, you just bring it back. Or when your Archon gets destroyed, if it's not exiled, bring it back. We're going to see a lot from Michelle here in terms of that with Unholy Heat with Delirium. Michelle's also on, the standard stuff like Engineered Explosives and like Fury, Cast into the Fire, Chalice, Brotherhood End. Those are all pretty good into what Jacob's playing. Chalice not so much, but I mean you can Chalice on one. It does hurt yourself, but it slows down some of his removal. I think we're definitely going to see Brotherhood End, Cast into the Fire, and Engineering Explosives coming from Michelle. Maybe even Magus of the Moon if she thinks that Jacob's leaning heavily into just making creativity tokens off of Fable.
So let's see what she's rocking with. I'm seeing like there's an expressive in her hand, a bolt in her hand. Definitely is a highly interactive deck what she's got. And Jacob is taking the mulligan, so I'm not sure what he had in his opener, but it seems like Michelle's got a lot of interaction in her hand. She had at least 2 lands in there, that's for sure.
We were too busy talking, and I don't think we've seen who won the die roll, but from what I'm looking at mulligans, it looks like Michelle won the die roll because she decided to keep first. Jacob did take his mulligan, like Rob said.
Now let's see if he can get a better 7. Well, he's got 2 of his go-to cards, so
yeah, he also has a Spell
one.
Pierce, which is pretty important in this matchup.
He is electing to keep the 6. All right, let's see how we're rocking on our turn 1. So actually, Jacob did get to go first.
I wonder.
Starting off with Spire Bluff.
Looks like Jacob's touching Instep. More than likely going to be either the
Triumph.
Yeah, it's going to be a Jetmir's Garden if he is setting himself up for Leyline Binding plays. Or in
I didn't see what other lands he might be grabbing that Savai. It seems like he's contemplating. He's digging. Let's see.
He skipped Jetmir's.
He did have the Leyline Binding in his hand, so he needs those
White
land
sources.
types.
Yeah, and white source. Untapped voice source allows him to fetch the other Triome and then cast it for 1. I wonder what he.
Yeah, casting it for 1 is pretty easy.
So he took Ketria.
He might have another fetch in his hand, but that just seems a little slow.
Yeah.
But we have no clue what there could be a line in his head that he sees that we don't see. But as of right now, he's in full go.
Something that's pretty sweet too in Michelle's sideboard is Test of Talents with the amount of Living In and Rhinos in play, but ironically that is a very good sideboard card into this deck because it also hits creativity if it's countered at Surgicals.
Did he just top deck the Jet Mirror's Garden? Or did he have it in his hand?
No, he definitely top decked it, unless he's on more than 1. He's only on 1. He top decked that garden.
Wow. That is
pretty lucky.
Impressive.
Yeah, pretty lucky.
Now let's see what's going on here. I think Michelle's probably going to play a little bit more proactive as she wants to be able to respond to anything that Jacob does out of the ordinary.
That is a main board Blood Moon. That is pretty spicy.
I think she's on 1 or 2.
She's on
2. She's on 2. It's a pretty solid card, especially if she's only in 2 color and she only needs a few blue pips. Now let's see. She's definitely contemplating something. She is.
She goes to plays the Blood Moon. You're gonna
for the Blood
see
Moon.
the spell pierce from Jacob.
Yep. Now let's see. This definitely opens up a opportunity for Jacob to do something, but he doesn't really have anything on board.
This looks like he's gonna trigger the Dwarven Mine and attempt to cast creativity.
This could be a pretty strong play for him.
I think Michelle now realizes what Jacob's on. Showing the Dwarven Mind is pretty good. Now Michelle's probably wondering if she should have just held off the Blood Moon or not. That's a tough call.
It is a tough call because at some point, if she resolved that Blood Moon, he's out of contention for playing that creativity right there. He would have been pretty far behind. I'm not even sure what's his main deck way of getting around Blood Moon.
Beseju, is that in the list?
I'm sure he does. Creativity targeting the token.
He can get Leyline Binding if you have a white source, because you can just use the domain from everything of yours being red. You just need 4 lands.
Let's see what Jacob's gonna hit.
Looks like he has a Teferi is another answer and Prismatic Ending.
Yeah.
All of those things that require
Lands
at least a
around
white
it.
source.
The man's digging.
I would not be surprised if Michelle took a second and actually looked through Jacob's reveal.
Yeah. There was a Transmorgify in there, which was pretty spicy.
Yeah, most of the lists for stock run 1. Some of them pivot away from it. Oh, I guess Michelle was paying attention while he flipped, because Jacob immediately started shuffling. So Michelle's in a kind of a bad spot here, but she does have an enchantment in the graveyard. It's pretty big for getting Delirium in this deck. We could see something like her discarding a creature if she has one, untapping, maybe playing like a sorcery, and then, slamming that Unholy Heat for Delirium.
She's got plenty of ways of getting rid of that Archon.
I'm
not gonna lie, Archon is never fun to be face down on. But
she does need to get rid of it while Jacob's tapped. Otherwise, Jacob could draw an answer like another Spell Pierce. She did bend that creature, so that's a good start. More than likely, we're going to see this land. We're going to see a fetch.
If he gets an
unless she
island.
wants to just slam Expressive first to see if she hits another land. So she is going to play the Skulling Tarn first.
If she fetches, and then if she Expressives, she'll have Delirium. Doesn't feel as good when you already made your land drop, but I mean, anything to get rid of that Archon. Archon is not a fun card to have on board. You want to get rid of that ASAP. Now let's see what she does. She's got a bolt in hand. Maybe she's...
Yeah, that's what the Hadouken is. The
Yeah.
secret layer bolt. She plays Shredder.
Plays Shredder. Let's see.
I kind of like this play from Michelle because now she's going to
Yeah.
cast
I like it.
Heat and trigger Connive first. Gives her an extra card.
Yep,
Now she discarded Lightning Bolt.
I love it.
Now she has Delirium.
And that's a great way to get rid of an Archon.
Yeah, and it also allows her to keep the expressive while also holding Spell Pierce up. Yeah, well, also holding up Spell Pierce. This way, I like the approach she did here. I didn't actually see this line immediately until she played the second Shredder, which she drew for turn. But doing this allows you to cast Expressive Iteration next turn and potentially Connive again, which is very important in this matchup.
Having a board state in this is, I would say, probably better than playing that expressive already through the land drop.
So here comes Expressive down. Jacob's showing a Leyline Binding, it looks like.
2 lands.
A Sacred Foundry, a Scolding Tarn, and I couldn't see what the fourth card
the
was.
last one. And Expressive's just so powerful. Seeing 3 cards and being able to play a land off it is just...
It's gas.
It's so good. It is absolutely money.
Another interesting take of Michelle here. She's playing 4 Dragon Rage Chandler main board, 3 Ledger Shredder, 3 Murktide, 3 Ragavan.
She's going in.
So her on the 4-3-3-3 split is pretty sweet. You don't always see that. You usually see somebody go 4-4-2-3 or 4-4-2-2 for these splits. And she's also, leaning into that third Shredder, which is very interesting into a Bowmaster meta. So it does look like she plays the the Steam Vents from the Expressive tapped. She's choosing, instead of to trigger Connive, she is playing on the defense.
And she still has a Spell Pierce in hand.
Is that a Shadow Prophecy in his hand?
He is running one in the main.
Yeah, I think that's a Shadow Prophecy in his hand. Ooh, Cycle Orange revealed. I love this card. It's so sweet.
So gas.
It's so good.
It's a great late draw. It's a great early draw. Like, it's just... Or I shouldn't say an early draw, but it's a great card to have in your opening hand. It is... being able to go get an island.
Yeah, one thing that's not really heavily spoken about, some of the blue-white and 4-color control lists that play Wrenn and 6 are playing that Orange Reveal to cycle it for a Triome and to loop Triome drawing with Wrenn and 6. It's super sick tech.
Now let's see. She's got a Bobble in hand, Spell Pierce, Unholy Heat. Ooh, she got a big old Murktide.
I think we are gonna see the Bobble, and then we're gonna probably Bobble Jacob to see what he's drawing, potentially, and then cast the Murktide.
Jacob does have an Archon in hand as well, which doesn't feel as good.
He is on 6 lands though, so he's not far from it.
How many black sources does he have?
He just has the Savai Triumph.
He can go get another one.
Yeah, he can. How many is he playing? That's a good question.
I saw a Watery Grave in his main deck too, so he should be able to go get a Watery Grave or something. Let's see. She's going with Bobble first.
It does appear just to be Watery Grave and Savai Triumph. It's a good play. I think if I'm Michelle here, I'm slamming this Murktide to Connive. It's gonna not feel great because it's going to run straight into this Leyline Binding, but we are gonna keep that Shredder on board, and that's pretty important.
And taking that Leyline Binding out of his hand is good. Like, it hurts, of course, losing your threat, but being able to pull these fantastic removal spells out of it is also good in the sense that she can be opened up in the future. Let's see. Everyone's favorite monkey.
Discarding a Spell Pierce. That's a little interesting. I think her play by discarding that Spell Pierce is to dash this monkey and she's gonna hold up Unholy Heat if he does creativity. It's gonna feel real bad to have to sack the Shredder if he hits a creativity, because I have a feeling this Leyline Binding is going on the Murktide, but we'll see if it goes on Ragavan.
Let's see.
So he is playing Leyline Binding. He does target Ragavan.
Ragavan.
That's very interesting.
I think he's banking on getting rid of it somehow else. Coming in with 3 damage. Let's see.
I'm not sure if I'm getting rid of Ragavan there. I guess he's playing around removal, which Michelle does have in her hand, but I think I'm just going to fetch a Dwarven Mine and trigger the Dwarf to block Ragavan. I think I'm going to Leyline Binding that Murktide if I was Jacob. Leyline Binding that Murktide and blocking that Ragavan either forces her to use the last card in her hand if it's removal, or you just straight up Archon and now they're just in a horrible game state because you have an Archon in play. They're going to discard the Ragavan if the other card in their hand gets played, which just leaves them with the Shredder. And then the Shredder, if you Leyline Binding the Murktide, gets sacked from the Archon. So I'm not sure if Jacob's seen that line, but that's what I would have done, because that line seems really strong against Michelle.
Okay, so he does grab the Watery Grave. He is going with the play of actually hard casting Archon, which is still an Archon, so it's still a great card. Even if he can't cheat it out turn 4, he still gets to play it. Let's see. He is facing down a lot of damage next turn, so he's got to do it.
He definitely is. That is a 3/5 Shredder and a 7/7
damage.
Yeah, 7/7 Murktide. That's a lot. Yeah. So we do see a Steam Vince played Steam Vince tapped. That's 7 lands for Jacob. So if he's a land next turn, that's a hard cast of Archon for 8 with double black. There's everyone's angry woman.
DRC. Is she on Delirium? She is. Yep, she's delirious.
She played the Shredder Connive so cleanly. Interesting discard from Michelle, right? Because I guess she's just gonna hold on the Holy Heat. I think if I'm her, I'm holding that bolt for game. Because here you go, Shredder. She
has another one in hand.
No, she has a Holy Heat in hand.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna bank on discarding Unholy Heat and going straight for the damage. Because that requires Jacob to have Archon plus another card. Otherwise, you're swinging through because you can just sack the Dragon Rage Chandler or the Archon trigger.
Yep. And
then there's lethal on board. Michelle is definitely just playing. I guess ultra safe.
Let's see what Jacob's going with.
Well, that is an Archon in his hand.
Yeah.
That is a fetch and an Indomitable Creativity.
Archon puts him back up to 5, but he would have to go down to 4
just to get it. Yeah. So we are going to fetch. We're going to 1.
Archon forces Michelle to sack. He has a blocker for the Ledger Shredder. Still taking a lot of damage.
I think here she doesn't care. I think what she's going to do is this Archon's going to come into play. She's going to sack the Dragon Rage Chandler to the Archon trigger, but she's also going to Unholy Heat the Archon with the trigger on the stack.
Yeah.
So she does lose her hand, but this should be game depending on what Jacob draws.
So he's electing to...
Nah, she's just going to straight up get rid of it.
Yeah. And then he's going to scoop on the stack.
Yeah.
Michelle's taking down game 1.
Let's talk sideboards, Rob. Looking at Michelle's list, I would love to see this Test of Talents come in. I would also love to see Engineer Explosives and Fury, maybe. Engineer on 0 for these Dwarves is pretty good, because it also hits the Goblin Shaman token that Fable makes. So not just the Dwarfs. Fury's a little more of a tempo card in this matchup. Jacob can play around it if he's paying attention to how he's fetching for the Dwarfs.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to play around Engineer Explosives.
And then going into Jacob's sideboard, he does have a few different things that are pretty good against red cards. And I would just say, like, red-blue as a whole. He's got Negate, he's got Celestial Purge, Boseiju. So he's got ample cards that he can bring in from his side that are going to be pretty solid. Staring at that Emrakul, I'm not really sure if that's going to be the card that he's going to want to bring in. But let's see. I know that Beseiju is going to be real nice to have in the main now.
Yeah, especially after Michelle showed that mainboard Blood Moon.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain I don't see her taking it out of the main. It's a pretty good card.
Is Jacob on Strike It Rich? I'm not seeing Strike It Rich.
I didn't see it in the main. I don't see it in the side.
So some of the tech these creativity players have been playing to avoid the Blood Moon stopping the dwarfs is just Strike It Rich. 1 red, make a treasure. Flashback for 2 red, make a treasure. It's super good into Blood Moon because you just don't care. They have to not only have Blood Moon to stop your doors, but now they have to stop, your treasure making. And that's kind of rough. It's pretty sweet tech that we've been seeing.
I do like Strike It Rich. I am a little surprised that he isn't running it. Also, it being a red card, if your opponent's got Blood Moon, it's still very solid.
Steven, you're walking the stream.
Now,
all good.
Let's see. Let's see what they're going with. Michelle's still trying to pick and choose what she's unsure about. Let's see what she ends up snagging.
This is the first game of the day. She's probably still letting her coffee,
Oh, yeah.
wake her up.
Oh, yeah. She's still got to let that early morning magic kick in. Looks like she took that Preordain out. Newly unbanned card. Preordain's pretty solid. I mean, it's a staple in Legacy as the 3rd cantrip, so it's pretty good.
I think Preordain you see in Legacy and combo decks. I think the card in Modern is better for combo decks. I think it's okay in Murktide.
I see it being a sorcery and it being the best sorcery cantrip that they can use in Modern now is just.
I'm still team Lauren's Reveal. I like I like being able to cycle it game 1, having Blood Moon, and your opponent not really understanding how to play around Blood Moon game 1. If you only have an island, they may think it's okay, and then you catch them with it to go get the second basic island under your Blood Moon.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot.
Well, Lauren's Reveal is an instant, right?
It is a sorcery.
It is a sorcery. So yeah, I would agree. I think that it being a sorcery, being able to cycle it, put it into your graveyard, it being part of your delirious mad plan, I think it's quite helpful. I would agree with you in that sense. Then I think Lauren's Reveal is really good. Card's super solid. Keeps your tempo going if you're gonna try to hit all your land drops, and it being a sorcery is really good.
Some people are cutting a lot of the cantrips and playing the 4 Preordain. Some of them are on 8 people. Some people are on 8 cantrips playing 4 Preordain, 4 Consider. Looking at Michelle's list, I'm not seeing Consider at all, but I am seeing a 2-2 split between Lauren Revealed and Preordain, which means Michelle is actively focusing on getting Delirium over cantripping into answers. So she's heavily leaning into the Darcy plan and the Shredder plan.
I would say most of her instants are mostly removal.
Yep.
She does have counter spells in the main, so it's you got plenty of things that are gonna get you to your Delirium.
2 Blood Moons, spicy. I love it.
I love that card is beyond good. It's always been a good card.
As Michelle's other half would say, it's the best card in Modern. Shout out to Chaz Tanner, who is not with us today. He is sick.
Always a big shout out to Chaz Tanner.
O2 Drop, I know you're watching. You can shout out to us in the chat.
It does look like Michelle is electing to mulligan, and I think so is Jacob. I think they are both going for a mulligan.
I would lean into Michelle having a favor into both of them mulliganing. Her being on the draw means that she's going to get that card back. Jacob's deck is kind of hard to mulligan with, being a combo deck.
Yeah.
You have to have removal. You have to have, reactive things.
You want creativity.
Yeah, you need the combo.
Yeah,
you want
Archon in your hand.
Yeah, you don't want Archon in your hand.
You got to make sure you have a pretty solid 7. And so going into 6, it can be a little rough.
The only time that I would want Archon in my hand is if I'm playing and I have a open with a Fable.
Let's see.
Because of Persist. That looks like a Veil of Summer. 2 Veil of Summers in Jacob. 2 Veil of
Summers.
A Spell Pierce, an Unholy Heat.
2 fetches.
And a Lightning Bolt.
And a Bolt, yep.
I don't know if I'm putting that Veil back.
Yeah.
That's kind of rough. I guess he's just trying to not get Ragavand. That makes sense. I just like Veil. Veil is just crazy.
Veil's a very, very good card.
Yeah, you can just skip a turn on creativity and just the Veil.
Yeah, it is a very solid plan.
You do have to play around Lightning Bolt when you're playing Veil with what you're doing, but...
Now let's see. Is Michelle going to just play that old 1-drop?
Do we got the monkey?
She does have monkey in her hand.
I think I'm playing monkey here to
Yep,
make to force Jacob to fetch shock.
I think...
Because if Jacob wants to play into the Ren and 6 route if he draws it, you can't just fetch a Triome. Otherwise, you leave Ragvent up. So he needs to fetch shock to get rid of monkey.
Now, is he going to Holy Heat or is he going to bolt this, saving the Holy Heat for Murktide?
That's an interesting question.
Let's see.
I think the cleanest...
some time to think.
I think the cleanest answer here is to just straight up use Bolt.
No, I think so too. Being a little safer.
However, on the flip side, he could
Bolt
get punished.
Kill Shredder.
He could get punished for this. Because DRC could come out and she could force a Delirious when he uses Unholy Heat without Delirium. So he could get punished for it.
Let's see what he goes with. Let's see what he's searching for. That's the real question.
I think I'm getting Steam Vents or Shot. Yeah, Steam Vents.
He's getting Steam Vents.
I think I'm getting Steam Vents here because he has the Spell Pierce, but he also has a green fetch in him for the Veil.
He does, yeah. I mean, you could get pretty much any source with any of the fetches that he's running at this point.
Yeah.
He's running like one of almost every Triome. I think he's on 3 different Triomes.
Yeah, we're on 4 Arid Mesa, 2 Bloodstained Mire, 4 Foothills, 4 Scolding Tarn. That's a lot of fetches.
Also, I want to give a big shout out to everyone in the chat right now. I see Aaron's in the chat. I know he's not big into playing competitive Magic. He's not very good. Nah, I'm just kidding, Aaron. You're doing your best. But, I'm also seeing Geo in the chat. Huge shout out to Geo. I've known Geo for a long time. He's been coming into Rockets ever since that we've been at a much smaller location.
Yeah, my man reached out to me yesterday and told me he also wasn't feeling well, so I'm sad. I don't get to watch Geo play Magic today.
I'm sure we'll see him later in the Rocket series.
Heartbroken, Geo. Heartbroken.
Let's see. He's stacking up his fetches.
Yeah, that's kind of what this deck does. It doesn't need to slam things when you have turn 1 answers.
There's no reason.
Geo, you are not the only regular that is in that predicament. Poor Charles Tanner is also there.
I don't see what she's going with.
I would like the DRC into the Preordain myself.
I also like that.
Because that's almost Delirium. She's 1 off when she plays this. So we need to see like a Bobble or a Bobble or another land. That way she can set herself up for
Bobble would be big.
If there is a land, that's good.
A Bobble would be big.
So she's still electing to figure out how she wants to resolve this Preordain. It's looking like she wants both on top and she's trying to pick the order. Nope, 1 top, 1 bottom. And she drew... Oh, she hid it from us. So secretive. She drew the land. I like this play a lot. Now she can play the land and hold up Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt would give her Delirium. Ooh.
He is bolting.
That's aggressive.
Love that art. Love that art.
Yeah, that's aggressive. Let's see what she does.
Let's see. Oh, Aaron is saying that I'm scared. My man, the only thing I'm scared of is your hairline. But it's still fine. Let's see what she's going with. We're sitting and contemplating. In the tank. Now let's see. Got Creativity in hand, Spell Pierce in hand, Veil of Summer.
It looks like
Jacob's
he missed.
sitting on a grip.
It looks like he missed a very important land drop, though.
Yeah. Seeing a fetch would have been real nice.
Yeah, so he's stuck on 3 lands. While Michelle just fetched his instep for a tap Steam Vents. We'll see how this turns out for Michelle, because Michelle's looking pretty favored from this angle. She top decks Murktide here and can play another sorcery. So here, I would love to see an expressive iteration played here, revealing a land and like a bobble, and then slam the Murktide, even though it's only going to be 5/5. Murktide pressure that early is very good.
It is in range of an Unholy Heat, but you know, it is such a good card. You want to get that out there.
Ooh, Spell Piercing expressive iteration. That's super relevant. Speaking of Delirium, though, Jacob is only 2 of the 4 types. We have land and instant.
There's his fetch.
All right, so now Michelle's got to play a little defensive here.
So I'm actually surprised that he didn't go for it right then and there with her only having 1 mana up. I guess she could have had some sort of removal, which would have been
or Spell Pierce.
Oh, that is true. It's true.
He knows that she plays Spell Pierce because she's already hit him with it.
Having that 4 mana is huge for him.
He just drew a Leyline Binding for turn. She's contemplating if she wants to play Murktide and hold up Counterspell. I like this play. I think you're going to have to play a little, safe and not Counterspell the Leyline Binding, which is going to hurt. Only because he could just slam Creativity right after that. She's electing to hold up both Counterspells.
Yeah, to be honest, there really isn't anything wrong with Michelle playing on the slower side. Because she does have 2 counterspells. She had 2 counterspells in her hand.
We see a counterspell, and I think Jacob is trying to decide if he wants to fetch Shock to play Veil of Summer.
Yeah.
If he plays Fetch Shock Veil of Summer and gets a Dwarf, or he can't get a Dwarf. Okay, so yeah, Fetch Shock is not. It puts Michelle in a better spot. Not being able to get a Dwarf here for her is pretty huge. If he draws another fetch, that's pretty bad for Michelle. So you're gonna see Jacob attempt to Veil of Summer, and we're gonna see if Michelle decides or not whether she wants to play the second counterspell in her hand, which I think it's a great idea to play it. Yeah, she not even a question. She slammed it.
She knows it. Yeah, one other outlet she could have gone with was slamming a Murktide and then going right into holding up Counterspell. I think using both those Counterspells in the long run shouldn't hurt too much. I think having that Murktide still in hand is still fine. And now Jacob's tapped out.
After the sequence of this, I think I'm going to play Murktide and then hold up Counterspell. She's going to run into a Leyline Binding next, which is pretty not great for Murktide.
Now let's see. Can she
4
delve
counters?
and still have
I
Delirium?
would give it 4 counters.
So she's only 1 off Delirium, and she needs an instant? Yeah, that's very doable. She's got a Counterspell in hand.
Yeah, this is how I would delve it for the
she's
counter.
rolling on hot right now.
Now she has the Counterspell, which will give her Delirium right back. All right, so this is the clock for Jacob. He's at 12, and this is a 6/6 Murktide. That is a 2-turn clock. Here's the attempted a binding. The question is, does Jacob draw a Spell Pierce or a Veil? Don't believe he did.
I think he would have liked to have that second Veil of Summer in his hand about right now.
Yep. The one he bottomed for his mulligan.
Yeah.
All right, so this is looking really good for Michelle. She has Jacob on a 2-turn clock. She has Acceleration with Expressive Iteration. She's looking for a Spell Pierce. She's looking for, Engineering Explosion is also cracked.
Yeah, EE is a good card.
Yeah, did she bottom it? No way. No shot. No shot she bottomed it.
She did. Now
what was the other card she put in her hand?
Flooded Strand.
No, she exiled Flooded Strand. What's the other?
Okay.
Oh, Lightning Bolt. Okay,
Oh,
no,
okay.
she did.
Oh, she did get the E.
I was like, no shot, she bottomed that.
Yeah, I was going to have some choice words. Yeah.
No shot. That's insane for Michelle right now. That's not only the 2-turn clock, because Jacob's
protection.
at 6.
She's...
I believe Jacob's at 6.
Binding. Does she still have...
She has a bolt in hand. She just needs another bolt, right?
Yeah, Bolt does it.
I don't hate the play from Jacob. I think it's a great idea to do it then. Gives her less chance of drawing an answer.
Oh, you know what? Michelle should have sunburst for 6.
Oh man,
That's what it should have been.
What's the
She
sixth?
should've-
What's the sixth color in Magic?
Purple.
Purple.
Come on.
Purple.
I remember a few years back they did that as an April Fool's joke. They printed a Magic card behind one of the announcers and had a purple dot above them. The Reddit community went crazy.
Crazy.
Now let's see.
Right now, Michelle really just needs a Ragavan or a DRC, and this game should be closed.
Yeah.
Jacob does have a Lightning Bolt, but like it does minimize his options. I see a Spell Pierce, I see a Blood Moon, I see an Expressive Iteration.
Yeah, to be honest, Blood Moon's
we're
still
slamming,
a really good
We're
card.
slamming Blood Moon.
Yeah, Blood Moon is
We're putting
super solid.
Blood Moon in Exile and probably Expressive Iteration in hand, just to be able to iterate again next turn.
Yeah.
Spell Pierce is also not bad to put in hand, but she's a Bolt in hand, so like I think I'm wanting that Expressive Iteration just to go Iteration Bolt next turn. Or DRC Bolt, like now you have to deal with my DRC.
Yeah, I mean like
Oh, we're doing Iteration in Exile. That's interesting.
Blood Moon in this situation shuts off his deck,
It does.
like the whole thing.
She is choosing to cast a second Expressive Iteration.
I think she
2 Unholy Heats and an artifact,
Unholy
right?
Heat's still really good
Is
right
that
here.
Mishra's Bauble? Yeah.
Unholy Heat is very good right here.
That's a Mystical Dispute.
He has a Dispute in hand.
It's an interesting choice for Michelle to cast that second Expressive Iteration instead of just casting the Blood Moon and holding, the mana up for the next turn. I'm a little curious why she did that, because she does have Dispute mana. Oh, she did draw the Spell Pierce. That's huge.
That is big. To be honest, she's still looking really good right now.
Yeah,
she has an
she
EE
is.
on board, Spell Pierce in hand, Dispute in hand, Bolt in hand, Unholy Heat. She's still very reactive with this one land that she has up.
She could have also, with the Blood Moon, tried to play around Spell Pierce.
That is true.
That might be
That
the
is
reason
true.
she did
Yeah,
that.
he could have gotten got pretty good if he had Spell Pierce in his hand. At this point, Michelle's just rocking on high. She's playing very safe. She's still safe in this position. Like she's in a good hand right now. And she's rocking our Rockets jersey, which I'll plug. I think it's so cool. I love that jersey. It looks super sweet. I own one as well, so big shout out to Rockets. It looks super cool.
So you're going to see her fire off this Unholy Heat
She's got to get rid of that token.
or Spell Pierce. She's going to cast
Spell
Pierce.
Yeah, there it is.
All right, come to turn. Draws the second Blood Moon.
Yeah, that Blood Moon's going to feel real nice right now. Now let's see. Is she going to hold up both islands, or is she going to hold up...
I don't think you
Red
hold
and
up both
blue.
islands. I think you hold
Yeah.
red and blue.
Oh, yeah. She only got one blue card in her hand.
Yeah. Or she could also just leave up Engineered Explosives.
That's true.
I think she can do both. Blood Moon
Yeah.
and leave up EE. I don't hate it. I think it's sweet.
Yeah.
Now, what she's got to do is when Jacob casts Domino Creativity again, she can just blow up EE. And he has essentially time walked himself.
Yeah. Fable's still a really good card for him right now, because he'll be able to cast it and dig for something.
The problem with Fable is it's also a 0-drop, so Michelle would just fire that off immediately.
Yeah.
You don't want to give the Shaman an untap so it gets an attack trigger for a treasure.
Yeah, but also I'm more talking about the fact that he'll be able to loot 2 cards, which will dig for some sort of
I
hope.
agree looting, but you also have Blood Moon out.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're firing this off while you have mana open.
Yep.
So that you untap and you have mana management, which is very important for Michelle's deck.
Especially facing down a Blood Moon.
Yep. Blood Moon shuts off Thorvamine, so it's so big right now. If he does cast Fable, then you need to shut off the token too. So he's swinging for 1.
Hey, you gotta deal damage where you can.
Yo, get in there. 1-1 beats. Let's go.
Go get him.
Let's go. 1-1
Michelle's
beats.
on
Let's go
a
get
14 turn clock.
Hadouken. I'm at 2.
3 to the face. He's at 2.
Yikes.
Let's see what's gonna happen.
Dashed monkey. Ooh, Shredder's a
Dash
2.
monkey could be hilarious.
It'd be pretty bad. It'd be real good.
Dash the monkey, trigger, make a treasure?
Oh, Shredder.
Oh, you're dead. Never mind.
So I think what we're gonna see here is Jacob probably gonna lightning bolt the Shredder. Yeah. The question is, does Michelle have a heart of the cards here? She
could unholy heat the token,
Yep.
conniving, putting it out of range of bolt. There,
Yep.
yeah, that's
I
what we're
like
gonna
this
see.
play. I like this play because it also leaves up engineered explosives. Oh, we drew a monkey. I think we're discarding the blood moon. Yeah. Now the Shredder lives through the bolt. This looks like a wrap from my side. We'll see if Jacob can pull out of this. Michelle played this really well.
Playing with that safety net of just
you don't
being on
care
the
about
safe
that
side,
other Fable.
it is so good. Makes
Yeah,
a token.
this game is effectively over.
It's
You're gonna
not
see E blow up.
looking as good.
Yeah, no, that's a wrap.
Now let's see. Yep, they are wrapping it up.
Well,
Awesome.
Rob, how
Yeah.
do you feel about round 1? How'd you feel?
I'm gonna be honest, I love watching Michelle play Murktide. I think that deck is super sweet. Michelle's been on it forever, and she's just a champ when it comes to it. I also love watching creativity. I think when that deck became more meta-centric, it is so cool to watch. It being a combo deck that's based around playing out an Archon on turn 4, that's just, like, awesome.
It's gnarly. It's gnarly.
I mean, you could even, technically, if you're playing it with, like, Strike at Rich, you could play it earlier than that.
Yeah, you could.
So it's still a very cool matchup. I mean, if I'm being honest, I feel like Izzet Murktide has the favored matchup in this. It's still cool though because they're both very, very
Proactive decks.
proactive.
Well, you guys, that's gonna wrap it for the first round of this Rocket Series kickoff. First one being a modern 1K. Thank you for tuning in.